Okay, just to make sure we have this correct. So you say that you black won't crack, but you refuse to wear sunscreen. You said filler and Botox, that's for white people. And the mustache and the beard, you're going with that as a look? I see now. I'm going to prescribe for you to watch the Style and Beauty Doctor's channel, and also I'm probably going to recommend some shock therapy because, well, clearly. Hello and welcome back to the Style and Beauty Doctor here on YouTube, and in today's video we are taking another dive into the Black Skincare Over 40 series that I just decided to do on my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience with facial, laser hair removal, under eye filler, cheek filler, Botox, and chemical peels. I will leave timestamps in the description, so if you want to replay an area, you can have the timestamps below. But I would love for you to watch the full video, but I understand if you kind of want to bounce around, so the timestamps are there for you. So here's the thing. Skincare is amazing. It's essential. You're going to need to cleanse that skin. You're going to need to routinely exfoliate. You're going to need some sort of treatment product, give or take what your skin is throwing at you, be it acne, hyperpigmentation, or what have you. You're going to need to moisturize, and of course you're going to need to protect that skin with sunscreen during the day, okay? However, right, skincare has its limitations. It's only but so much skincare can do where certain procedures come into play. There's some misconceptions out there about skincare, right? Some people feel like, you can just keep putting an eye cream on and all of a sudden that's going to address issues of lost volume in the under eye area. Or people feel like as soon as you get a cosmetic procedure, that means that all skincare is out of the window. Y'all got the game twisted, and let's talk about it. I want to stick a note here, a little push pin. Now, I'll be talking about my own personal experiences and what I got, but keep in mind that there are multiple methods sometimes that can get you similar results. Your best bet is to have a conversation with your dermatologist and or a facial plastic surgeon, somebody who specializes in skin of color, because, some of these people, you just can't go to anybody all willy-nilly. I'm telling you. Also, you want to make sure that you see someone who specializes in the area that you're looking to get treated, because a cardiologist is cool and all, but a cardiologist probably should not be putting your filler in, you know what I'm saying? Okay? Now, this whole black don't crack thing. Now, we do tend to look about a decade younger than our white counterparts, but things can happen. After the age of 25, we start to lose 1% of collagen each year. Now, I just turned 40 on August 26th. Shout out to my Virgos. And it has been 15 years of losing that 1% of collagen, give or take, each year. So that's about 15%. I got about 15% less collagen at 40 than I did at 25. I also have probably about 30% less knee strength now at 40 than I did at 25, but that's neither here nor there. So laser hair removal. Now here's the thing with facial hair. If you are going to remove hair from your face or any place on your body and you do it in a way that's aggressive, it can wind up irritating your skin, causing inflammation that can lead to hyperpigmentation. And what I definitely did not want was a beard, razor bumps, and hyperpigmentation, all up and through. I knew from jump that I did not want that. I'd rather have facial hair than have to deal with hyperpigmentation. That's just me though, right? So what I did was I would use, safer methods of hair removal for me. So for quite a while I was using the Dermaflash, which is a device that is great for exfoliating. But it also has an added benefit of getting rid of peach fuzz on the face, and I like that. I also got it in PR, so I don't know that I would have necessarily paid, the amount of money that it cost for the device at the time, but it was great to get it in PR, and I liked the results that I got, right? And I was doing that for a while, and that was cool, but then I was like, am I just gonna be shaving my face for the rest of my life? Like, what is this, right? And there's a misconception that when you shave your face that it grows in quicker. That's not true. What may seem like why it seems thicker is that you're probably shaving it at a blunt angle, and the way that the hair kind of feels after it's shaved, like on a blunt angle as opposed to it being even, it might feel thicker, but it's not actually thicker, and it doesn't grow back faster when you shave. So met Dr. Michelle Henry, and I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna start doing laser hair removal. There's actually some videos on it. Now, my personal laser hair removal process It's been quite arduous, right? I thought it was gonna be an easy 1, 2, 3 thing. Typically, you can expect maybe about 7 to 8 sessions of laser hair removal, and you're good until maybe 4 or 5 years after, and you may need to get one more and you're good, right? But bear in mind that it is hair reduction, permanent hair reduction. So you can have some hairs come back, but not as much as you were getting before. What happened to me? Pandemic, places were shut down. When stuff started to open up again, I wasn't actually getting laser hair removal. I got my filler, we'll talk about that later. But I wasn't getting laser hair sessions right away when things started to open up last year, because I was like, I don't know if I want to leave my house every month to go into Manhattan to get this treatment, right? So once I started to get a little bit more comfortable, then I started doing the treatments again. I had a little bit of a setback because the pharmacy ran out of my regular birth control, and you know, when they be saying, oh, it's the same thing. No, sometimes it's not the same thing, because there was some sort of difference in the hormones and I was getting even more hair on my face. I've since switched back to the birth control I was using before, and I can gladly say that the last time that I got a laser hair removal session with Dr. Michelle, which I want to say was maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I have definitely finally saw a reduction. But now we're at probably like maybe session 10 or 11. So just bear that in mind. Sometimes laser hair removal might not be for you. You have to talk to your doctors and your providers and stuff like that to figure out what's the best course for you. Laser hair removal is the best course for me. Another option would have been electrolysis. I felt like I had too many hairs for me to do electrolysis. But if you don't have that many hairs, you might want to look into electrolysis as well. And also, if your hairs have turned gray, electrolysis might be the better option for you anyway, because the lasers kind of pick up on the hair pigment, and of course, you know, gray hairs don't have the pigment that the laser is looking for. So talk to your provider about what option might be best for you. It may be a combination of the two. Like for instance, Dr. Michelle mentioned, you know, maybe once we get to the point where you finally have that reduction in hair, if there's just like a few straggly hairs that remain, then, you know, maybe we can do electrolysis on that. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'll let you guys know. You make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can figure out what I do, because when I figure it out. Pricing for laser hair removal, of course, everything is going to vary. I went to a dermatologist, so it's going to cost more than if you go to one of those places where they specialize in laser hair removal. Now, when you go to those places, make sure that they are using the right laser frequency for skin of color, and definitely have them well vetted. I've never been to one of those places before, and this is why I like that we have a community here, because I'm going to ask those of you who have been to one of those places, like maybe like Laser Away, or I don't even know some of the names of some of the places, but if you have experience with that, please share your experiences in the comments so that other people can, you know, kind of feed off and get some information from you. So the price range, I would say in New York City, going to a derm, Manhattan in New York City, mind you, you can expect maybe $500 to $750 per session. Now, if you need a number of sessions, that amount can really add up. So you really need to kind of budget for it. Now, the person's not gonna be able to give you an exact estimate of how many sessions you're gonna need. I mean, because Dr. Michelle, how could she have known that my pharmacy was gonna run out of my birth control and give me something else, and then that was gonna, you know, cause a difference in my hormones and make my hair come out a little bit more. At least you can kind of get an estimate and kind of budget for it. I would say to maybe budget for an extra 2 to 3 sessions just in case, just so you have that money there and you're not like, you know, almost there and then you ran out of money. So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to get an idea of what goes down when you get laser hair removal, I actually have a playlist, so make sure you check that out. And let's talk about filler. So in a nutshell, filler addresses issues of volume loss in the face. It doesn't necessarily have to be all about like an aging thing, because I got under eye filler for the hollows underneath my eyes, and I've had them hollows underneath my eyes since I was like 5 at least, maybe even younger than that. So, but of course, as I got older, gravity took its course and the hollows were a little bit more pronounced. Honestly, that was probably one of the best things I could have done for my face, other than putting sunscreen on, of course. Like, I look at old pictures of me where I was like, oh, I look fine. And I look at like a before and after, and I'm like, oh wow, that is really a nice difference. Obviously, I would still love myself and be out in the public and whatnot if I took out all the filler, but of course I'm liking the way that I look with it a lot more, you know? There's no eye cream, there is no special serum, potion, or anything out there that can address the lack of volume that I had underneath my eyes that filler could, right? There's just no, it's just not It's not possible. I cannot eat my way into a better filled under eye area. There's no amount of water that I can drink. I could drink the entire Atlantic Ocean. Well, maybe with the swelling from that, maybe, but that would still only be temporary because I'm not gonna hold all that water forever. No, but I think filler was a very smart move for me to get. And it took me a long time to actually get it done because for like at least 7 years of going to beauty events and talking to dermatologists, I would go up to as many people. I probably went up to like 10, 15 dermatologists over the course of the years of going to beauty events here in New York. And each time I'd be like, okay, what can I do for my under eye hollows? And every single time the answer was filler. Now there are different types of filler that you can get. The one that I got was with hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid, you know, you hear about it all the time. It can hold 1,000 times its weight in water. It's great for volume, this and that and the third, blah, 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 blah. It does have its drawbacks. If you get it filled in the wrong place or you get too much, you kind of have that puffy filler face and it's just like, ooh, girl, what happened to you? So one good thing about filler, but also can be a drawback, is that it doesn't last forever. How long filler is gonna last, it's gonna depend on the type of filler that you get, and it's going to depend on your body's metabolism. Some people's bodies can hold on to the filler longer than others. It's all gonna vary. For me, it was about a year, a little bit over a year each time that the filler lasts before I got a little refill, so to speak. Every time I saw Dr. Henry, she didn't fill me in the same spot because she didn't want to overfill me and then I would have like that flat, like puffy filler face kind of look, which I'm like, yeah, because I don't want that. I also got cheek filler, and the filler that she used, I can't remember the name of it, but I definitely said it in the cheek filler video, so make sure you check that out. But the filler that she used for that is something that lasts a little bit longer. So my cheek filler can last up to 2 years as opposed to, you know, underneath the eyes lasting about a year, a little over a year. I got the cheek filler because I noticed that my face had kind of like drooped after I had lost some weight. I'd lost 30 pounds, you know. Holla at your girl. There's a video on, you know, how I did it and also how I gained the weight in the first place. So check that out and it'll be linked above. Now, price range for filler varies a lot because it depends on how much filler that you need, where on your face you're getting the filler. Obviously, cheek filler is going to be more than the under eye area. Amount of filler that you need. Some people might only need 1 vial. Some people might need 2. Some people might need more than that. That's going to depend. Again, it also depends on who you're going to. Somebody who's in high demand, their prices are probably going to be higher. Also, the location is going to matter. Obviously, getting filler in Manhattan is going to cost you more than if you got it done somewhere in Nebraska, right? But I would say a range would be maybe about $750 to upwards of like $5,000. And when you're getting into the $5,000 range, you might want to talk to your derm or your, you know, facial plastic surgeon about other alternatives that might last a little longer. Maybe something like a fat transfer or a facelift. Now, there are pros and cons to that as well. So these are things that you definitely want to deeply do your research and make sure that the person that you're considering is well vetted. You go to consultations and, you know, everything. You do your research. Now, Botox, right? Botox gets such a bad rap when you see like people with their eyebrows. Remember that episode of Girlfriends when Tony got Botox? I think it was like a Groupon kind of deal or something like that, and her eyebrow was like all the way up here. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can get jacked up if you go to the wrong person, but I think those things are probably very rare and more people probably get Botox than you actually think. So in a nutshell, Botox is going to relax the muscles, whereas filler adds volume. There are a number of different things that people use Botox for. Sometimes people use it to control sweating. Sometimes people use it for migraine headaches, you know, lift the brow area. I've used it before underneath my eyes. I also got a Botox brow lift. And I say lift because when I get Botox, I never notice the difference until the Botox wears off. Now, when you first get it, it can take like a week or so for it to like kick in for you to see the difference. So a lot of times your injector is probably going to be a little conservative because you know, you don't want, when that week or week and a half mark comes, like, it's like, boom, like you go hard. So it's probably better to take a more of a conservative approach. I do notice when I get it done underneath my eyes, it's very subtle. The fine lines I have underneath my eyes, you know, they getting up there, you know, they starting to not be so fine, but when I first get it, I'm like, oh, I don't see anything. And then it's when it like starts to wear off, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I had that many lines. Like, what's up with that? Now, Botox is something where it seems like it's not as expensive as filler, but you do need to get Botox more often than you would filler. So your Botox can range anywhere from like $250 to $700. Again, it's gonna vary depending on who you go to, how much you need, where you go. New York City versus maybe the middle of America, there's gonna be a price difference there. But Botox tends to last maybe only a couple months before you may need it again. Some people it can last longer than others. You know, it's gonna vary. I would say for me, that it's lasted maybe anywhere from like 3 to 6 months. I think 6 months is kind of stretching it. But I would say maybe around the 4 to 5 month mark is when I start to notice that, like, oh, where did that line come from? And it was like, girl, that line has always been there. It's just that the Botox kind of relaxed it a little bit. So now, chemical peels. In a nutshell, a chemical peel is something that is going to help speed up that skin regeneration process. That's the process by which the skin renews itself and brings out new, fresh, snatched skin. So a chemical peel is going to cause a reaction in the skin that helps to kind of like speed up that process, which is why a lot of times you'll see like the very dramatic peeling. For some people, the dramatic peeling doesn't happen all the time for everyone. Everyone's skin is different, so everyone's peel process is going to be different. Now, there are a lot of different peels out there that address different issues, so on and so forth. There's no like one peel that's better than the other because some of them do address different issues and some of them may be more appropriate for a certain person's situation, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about the chemical peels that I have gotten. The first peel that I've ever gotten, I think, was the VI peel, which is something that addresses hyperpigmentation, you know, your dark spots, discoloration, melasma, that sort of thing. I also got a TCA peel, which was like a spot peel, I guess you can say, where I got that from Dr. Michelle Henry, and she did that underneath my eye area as part of a, you know, months, maybe even a years long treatment for getting rid of my under eye discoloration. There's a video on that, so you make sure you check that out. I've also gotten a Cosmelan peel, which is a peel that Dr. Henry gave me, again, like months after the TCA peel, to address the discoloration underneath my eye. When it comes to trying to heal discoloration, especially if it's something that you have had forever, and I've had the under eye discoloration probably since birth, it can take some time. You're probably going to need a series of peels, so you're probably going to need more than one. And sometimes your provider may recommend that you do a peel in conjunction with some other treatments as well. It can really be a process when you're trying to even out your skin, even when you go to see a pro. Now, as I mentioned before, you definitely want to make sure that you find someone who specializes in skin of color when you're doing these procedures. Botox and filler, maybe not as much, but I personally would just go to see someone who specializes in skin of color because, you know, there are things that can happen with our skin that if someone's not careful, like if they're too aggressive or if they use too high of a percentage that's appropriate for your skin or what have you, you can wind up with either more hyperpigmentation, a keloid, and it's just like, nobody wants to have to deal with more issues on top of issues, right? And no, I cannot tell you who to see in whatever city or country you live in. There's a video on how to find a skin of color pro, so make sure you check that out. Pricing for peels, I would say maybe about $100 to $500 per peel, right? Maybe a little bit more depending on where you go and what you need. And again, some of these, it's just not a one and done process. Sometimes you might need multiple peels or you might have to combine it with some other treatment. So save your money, folks, save your money. Now, future procedures that I may consider. I don't know. I've been looking at a lot of plastic surgery, facial plastic surgery, facial procedure videos on YouTube. That stuff intrigues me. I like to see the before and after. I like to see one doctor's opinion is different than this doctor's opinion. This doctor tells you should do this, but you should do, and this other doctor tells you should do that. That kind of stuff intrigues me. Not where I want every time I see a procedure, I want to do it to myself, but I will say that, you know, never say never, one, but I will say that I will always be looking into something that is going to address volume because I can already see that from some older family members that a drooping face may, continue to be in my future as I age. And I would probably look into a facelift if that is the case, because a lot of times when you look at the pricing for, let's say like filler, if you keep getting filler, the pricing of that might be more expensive than if you just got a facelift. And facelift sounds very dramatic, because I know it sounded dramatic to me until I started watching more videos, and I'm like, oh wow, people are getting facelifts younger and younger. Not young as in like, well, you never know. These some 25-year-old celebrities with a facelift. But people aren't waiting until they're like 60, 70, 80 to get a facelift. People are getting them in their 40s and their 50s. And some of the results I've seen look really, really good. So that's something that I may consider. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that maybe I might get like the peel here and there to address texture. I'm actually getting micro needling in a couple of days with Dr. Michelle, and I'm gonna, obviously document that, and that'll be its own video to address some of the pores on my face. You guys probably don't see it from the videos, but I see it, and that's what matters most. And we were trying to address it with some tretinoin, and I'm not seeing a difference whatsoever. So we're gonna go in with some micro needling, so stay tuned for that video. I'm not trying to look unrealistically young, you know what I'm saying, even though a couple people be like, you don't look 40. but I'm not trying to look unrealistically young, but I'm also like, look, if I can do a little tweak here and there so I can look better, why not? Okay. Let me know in the comments below if you have had any of these facial procedures or something else. Talk about it below. I actually want to start a series on this channel where you guys come on and talk about any facial procedures that you have done. So if you'd be interested in that, make sure you check out my description box for information on how to email me so you can be on the channel. Also, while you are in that description box, make sure you check out links to videos that I've referenced in this video as well, and links to follow me on social media, because when I'm not here on YouTube, I'm elsewhere on the internet spreading my cheer. And with that, I will see you fine folks in my next video. Bye guys.